All right, guys, welcome in. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and AGWN's in the house. Anyway, hey, we're here. Tons of stuff to get into, just like every night. Man, the news cycle never stops. We're taking a look at the cloud top temperatures, and we're watching this crazy spinning low out here off the coast of Florida, going south, just like we said. Strange weather patterns. Looking into these maps today, I noticed it looks like they're trying to pull like a summertime pattern in here. Like they switched the jet streams. When we take a look at, when we get into the worldview maps and all that stuff, we're going to show you how the bunker fuel operations has split the jet stream, just like we said. And now the weather patterns are going to change. It only took them one day this time, but we'll get into that. We got a bunch of news stuff to get into. Now, last night we were talking about how Japan is going to be releasing more radiation from Fukushima. And we got this little app here where you can come click on and see how much is being released. It's been releasing. It's never stopped. And now this app seems like it's not wanting to work. So you got 55 CPMs, which I know isn't right. Then you got 1,354 CPMs. But all the news keeps coming out about the releases. They're going to release it into the water. They're going to release it through the air. But, we got the same thing going on in America. We'll jump into all that. I just wanted to show all these links are already in the description on the main channel. And here we go. Here's a little article coming out. Transparency, the Olympics, and that damned water part 1. Basically, this is pretty much going over everything that we talked about. But what they didn't tell you is I dug through this information right here. They kept saying they were just going to be releasing the radionuclides, and mainly they just kept saying they were going to be putting tritium, releasing the tritium into the ocean, into the air. Well, finally they just come out back in September and announced that in addition to the tritium, there's also high levels of strontium, americium, and other particulates. So, this is pretty bad ionizing radiation stuff. So anyway, I'll leave this if you guys want to read into this. Didn't want to spend a bunch of time on that. NASA unveils 3 new aircraft for nuclear incident response. Whenever we see all this propaganda coming out, you just got to keep a heads up. Could be a head fake. We don't know. We just got to see what's going on. We go ahead and close these out so I can get through this a little quicker. Well, on December 18th, SoCal Edison announces release of liquid batch discharge. This is coming out of the nuclear facility. They're going to be dumping stuff right into the Pacific along with Japan. Southern California Edison on Thursday, December 19th, will conduct a liquid batch radiological release discharging operational wastewater from the San Onofre power plant 6 feet offshore. Is that 6,000 feet offshore? Man, I can hardly read that little writing. The plant operator announced this week. They call these routine discharges. So basically they're saying they're dumping, waste out here from the nuclear plant right into the ocean where everybody's swimming. In fact, you can see the people right out there. Picture took right. Wow, you know what these are? See these little ring things? Them look like the lightning to disperse the lightning. In fact, I think I got some articles up on them things. I just noticed that just now. We'll have to take a look at that. And then you also had this news coming out on the 23rd. Out of the Business Insider, a nuclear attack would most likely target one of 6 U.S. cities. Simulated images show how Hiroshima-like explosion would take effect. I mean, this is all propaganda and the scare tactics. I mean, the planet's already in perils. Like I said, I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on this. I just want to go through and show the news that is coming out to try to freak everybody out. Then they're talking about the North Korea launching a Christmas present, all BS. You know, all they really have to do is one EMP would take out everything, or the HEMP, the hemp. Or they could just drop one out off the coast and create, 500-foot tsunami wave to wipe out the whole coast. So many different ways they could wipe us out. So we got the rare Christmas eclipse will illuminate the sky with ring of fire. So on December 26th, a partial solar eclipse will take place coming out of Los Angeles during the daytime in the eastern hemisphere. Oh, it's on the eastern side, December 26th, Thursday. An annual solar eclipse occurs when the moon is relatively small and the sky passes directly across the sun but fails to cover it entirely. As a result, we'll get the ring of fire. You know, we've had all the earthquakes that are going on, all the talk of the volcanoes. It's just like everything is going crazy. Well, how about we spray some holy water on you? Coming out of the Washington Times, it's raining blessings. Crop duster spreads holy water on entire town. So a Roman Catholic church in Louisiana decided to disperse some blessings to a local town via crop duster. So they've loaded up 100 gallons of holy water into the plane, and the pilot sprayed the water onto the town, nearby farms. You know, did they clean out the tanks before they put this holy water in there? It could be something more than just holy water. That's for sure. We got these giant, evasive Asian giant hornets found in Washington. The new hornet could be a threat to the honeybees, like the Monsanto spray, all the other things that are killing our bees. The bees are one of the most important animals on the planet, and they're wiping them out. I only seen maybe 2 or 3 of the big wood bees this year. I didn't even see no normal bees. Maybe a few little sweat bees. I mean, they're disappearing off the face of the planet. The risk of 5G technology may outweigh the benefits for sure. Around the world, many cities are demanding that the installation of 5G cell phone towers be paused. Residents are realizing the upgrade poses serious health risks to animals, people, the environment. This is really not only targeting us, but it's targeting the mind of the kids. The company Tilson received a $100 million investment to bring 5G services to Portland. Another company named Red Zone has been working to bring it to rural areas. Most large carriers also advertising that 5G will soon be here. It's being pushed everywhere. In Switzerland, let me grow this a little bit so I can read this a little bit, man. Where's my little controls? Oh no, update. Okay, hold on. Let me get this where I can read this a little better. There, now I can see it. In Switzerland, 5G towers were turned on in 102 locations, and almost instantly people began having unusual physical, ringing in the ears, headaches, intense earaches. Likewise, others experienced chest pain, stomach pain, insomnia, all beginning the same day. And not long after the 5G was turned on. Hey, thanks out there, Kim. Oh, yeah, and hey, thanks out there, Natasha out in Oakland, and Christina in Lawrence. I went by the PO today. Thanks for the care package. In 2017, 2018, diplomats in China and Cuba became ill with unexplained symptoms. Experts finally concluded they were caused by the microwave radiation. This is going on. Some countries are turning it off. But, you know, they've never stopped with the human experiments since the beginning of time. You know, the radiation exposure to the people of St. Louis, the poison fog that was released off the coast of California, the lithium released in Oregon. I mean, there's just so many, you know, not to mention all the tests that were done on volunteer military. There's so many tests being done on the people, and they just don't know. So here's a map of the 5G cities. They're going to be going out. So we're just getting inundated with microwave fog. And that's what it is. So we had an oil tanker and operator, chief engineer, convicted of obstruction of justice and concealing deliberate pollution. This come out December 20th. So a tanker, these are bunker fuel ships. The U.S. This come out of Delaware. So the guy violated the act to prevent pollution from the ships, falsifying ship documents, obstructing a U.S. Coast Guard inspection, making false statements. The crimes were committed in order to conceal the deliberate bypassing of required pollution prevention equipment in order to illegally discharge oil contaminated bilge wastewater from the foreign flagged oil tanker. What about the bunker fuel ships from yesterday? Let me go show you. Now here we are right now. Here's one of the most sprayed places on the planet today. All over Portugal, going into Spain. And this thing goes all the way down, starting out in the Sahara Desert, and then loops all the way back around to the desert again. But let's go back and show you yesterday's bunker fuel operation. Now this is the most toxic emissions on the planet. You know, where's the Coast Guard at on these things? And I'm going to show you here in just a little bit what this bunker fuel operation did to the jet stream. So all these, you know, starts at a point and they start drifting out. Every one of these is the bunker fuel ships. Here's a bunker fuel ship. I mean, they're all in different formations, all pointing the same way. It's a whole fleet of them out here. You can pull them out a little bit better when you use a 3.7 micron layer to pull them out. Today, they're gone. They did a one-day spray operation, totally switched up the jet stream, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Oh, before I go any farther, let me show you a clip. We had another oil catastrophe that went on down in the Galapagos Islands. Let me play this clip. I kind of slowed it down so you can see the guy falling out of the winch truck. That's pretty crazy. Let's check this out. Look at the guy hanging out. So here it is in slow motion. Look at that guy right there hanging out. He finally falls out. The ship goes down with 600 gallons of bunker fuel, not to mention the crate and the rig. So pretty funny, man. We'll play it one more time just so you can see that guy. He was hanging on for dear life, man, but he couldn't hang on long enough and flung him right out. Hopefully the tow truck didn't land on him. Didn't see nothing about it. These guys are abandoning his ship. There he goes, falling out of the truck. His legs are dangling up in there. There's a zoomed in view. So, man, what went wrong there? So you have a boat with 600 gallons of bunker fuel ruining the Ecuador coastline there. And you know they don't have all the stuff to get that cleaned up. So there's some of the most fragile ecosystems on the planet just destroyed with one single screw up. Now, hopefully I can get out of that scene. Alright, so 600 gallons of fuel dumped out. Wonder what was in the crate. I'm not even gonna go over this. I don't even know why I still had that up. Then we got more, fake news come out of Fox News. Massive 2,034-foot asteroid would zoom past Earth just after Christmas. They make it sound like this thing's gonna skim Earth. And, they always got the gigantic asteroid will zip past Earth just after Christmas, NASA reports. And they compare it to the One World Trade Center in New York. They're saying that the diameter of this thing is 919 to 2,000 foot. I mean, that's a big difference. That's over 1,000 foot difference. Why, they have all this technology. They can't tell us just how big it really is. Means it could be as large as the One World Trade Center in New York, which tops out at 1,700 feet. This thing is 4.5 million miles away. That's not scraping by. That's not skimming by. Just more clickbait coming out of the mainstream. Here's some more clickbait coming out of the Daily Mail. Hey, thanks out there, Lawrence. Much love out there. Merry Christmas. Australia's record-smashing 50°C heat wave will end on Christmas Day with downpours and violent thunderstorms. Forecast for December 25th, but some cities will swelter in 36°C sunshine. Look how they make their map. Just looks like, just insane. A lot of the people I talk to down there say it's pretty normal, other than the engineered drought and the aerosols that are being deployed. You're going to have the fires. They're going to say the lightning's going to start more fires. Even though it's raining, there's going to be more fires. We had this most complicated rainbow chemtrail ever. These are nocculus clouds. These are caused by ionospheric heating and the likes. Cloud ionization, the aerosols, plasma. This was captured out in Russia. I think there's more pictures of it. Yeah, there's like 7 pictures of it. It's coming out of strange sounds. And it's not working for me here. Wow, that's weird. All right, well, there you go. Explained. Now here's some stuff I was kind of reading over. They're pushing all this electronic devices on us. I mean, cash used to be so easy. You go into the store, you give them some cash, you get your change, you walk out. And then they brought in the bank card. The RFID chip cards. It was supposed to be more secure and quicker. Not even close. You go in there now, you get your card out, you stick it in the machine, you got to answer a couple dumb questions, then you got to put in a password. Next thing you know, people are buying shit out of your account from California or some other state. I mean, it's in no way more secure. It's definitely not faster. And one of these hemps could take it all out. It's like our infrastructure is made to fail. You're pretty much telling, if you had real enemies, you're just telling them how to take you out. But this is a lot of information to read on these. I'm not going to get into all of it tonight, but it's in here so you can read on all this stuff. And then somebody, I think Rand Smith posted these things. This is either Rand Smith or the Hart guy, Billy Hayes, out there posted this. And what these are is lightning strike preventions, but they also look like Tesla technology. But when you look at these things, let's see if I can get the picture to, wow, well, let me get to the picture here. Let me just make it bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. If I can scroll the bottom of the page over. Here, maybe I can click one of these. Man, it sucks it's not letting me click the pictures. But look at these things, and then look at that first article I showed you at the nuclear plant. These are the same things. Go ahead and close that. So yeah, these are the same things. So when you see some of these, they could be for lightning dispersant, but it could be for other things. I'll have to dig more into this. Why would you need two of them right there? So they're calling these lightning prevention. What we need is microwave prevention. We need a microwave blocking, radioactive blocking technology is what we need as people. So anyway, so if you see some of these possibly could be what they are. They could be a cover-up for something else. Now we talked about yesterday, how about they released the vaccine for Ebola. Well, guess what? They just now released on the 20th the updated anthrax vaccine recommendation. So now they're going to be pushing the anthrax vaccination on the people. It's just getting insane at what they're wanting to stick you with. The Army updates their arsenal with the new I can't talk tonight, radiological detectors. So you're telling me they've been using the 1970s era VDR2 with finally a 21st century piece of equipment, but it's electronic. So if you get hit with the EMP, this thing won't work, although the 1970s would work. Yeah, it looks like our stream says it's all excellent condition, so if it's buffering, you might need to refresh your page. As I was saying, more and more of this, radiation propaganda is coming out. The Pentagon tells military personnel not to use at-home DNA kits. The Pentagon said that the potential inaccuracies in an at-home DNA kit pose more risk to military members than regular consumers. So the senior Pentagon officials have told members of the armed forces to skip what made it seem like a perfect holiday gift, an at-home DNA test. But the tests might be sold without independent confirmation of their claims. The fact that poses more risk to the military members than regular consumers, inaccuracies could negatively affect the required disclosures of those members' medical information. They're going to sell all their data. They're stealing the DNA, man. Now here's an article that's in the description here on the main channel. Climate change is being engineered. Agenda 21 explained. Got the Georgia Guidestones right there. Several videos on here that talk about the sustainable development of Trojan horse for world fascism. So it goes through all the Agenda 21 stuff. You got some David Icke videos here. Manipulating the weather. You got the U.S. Air Force admits to using Hart for weather control. In fact, there's even a couple of videos of ours on here. And some videos from Dane Wigington. And here's a John Brennan clip of him talking about doing the chemtrails. Here's Ted Grunderson. I play that video all the time. And he was killed over exposing the weather engineering programs. You got also a bunch of climate reviewer stuff on here, but here's a pretty good article if you want to dig into all that. Most of us out here know, but if you want to send it to somebody else. So coming out on December 14, Virginia, the governor really can use the National Guard to enforce gun control. So they're talking about how dozens of Virginia counties declaring themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries. Some Democratic lawmakers have said the governor should use the National Guard to enforce future gun control legislation. Well, what I recommend is maybe one of these, the Gilboa Snake Double Barrel AR-15 enters full production for U.S. availability. I want one of them. So you get the history of the double barrel AR-15s. Let them come try to take that one away. Nice looking gun right there. And I don't know if I was going to get into this stuff here. You know, there's like a shortage of sand going on. You got, you know, there's a high demand for sand, and they're just taking all the sand from different places, ruining beaches and all kinds of stuff. Here's a couple articles. Here's an article on the 6 most exploited resources on Earth. And they don't talk about, you know, some of the main polluters, like the U.S. military is one of the biggest polluters. So a 10-hour flight, a commercial plane burns about 36,000 gallons of oil over the course of a day, an average of 22,000 gallons of water. To build a single mile of a highway, you need 38,000 tons of aggregate in the sands, and they're just using it like it's going out of style, man. Just crazy stuff that these governments get away with over the money. We got this new equipment coming out to meet the Ripsaw M5 unmanned battle wagon that can launch drones and sneak up on enemies. I'm not going to play the clip, but so it's unmanned. This is an unmanned tank. Then you got the unmanned drones with the chemtrails in the background. You know, you got the machine gun dog here. It's like they're taking everybody's jobs away. They're making it all AI. Just like, you know, we had the truck that just drove from California to New York. The autonomous truck made a delivery, so they're taking out the truck drivers' jobs. You know, they're going to have the fast food kiosks. Well, when we get into splitting the jet stream, 2 storms hitting New Mexico during Christmas week in Albuquerque, New Mexico. 2 storms are expected to hit New Mexico this week, affecting travel. I didn't want that to play. So let's go ahead and let me make sure I got everything over on this tab over here. Let me pull this in. And I don't need that. Okay, here we go. I think I got everything. Alright, so let me get this on now. And what I was wanting to show you guys is yesterday we had the big bunker fuel operations out here. We had, you know, 2 separate systems. We can go back here. Let me put this on yesterday. Yeah, okay, times all added up. Make sure that's a day off. Okay. All right, so we had the bunker fuel ships right out here, and they were all in this long line. Actually, it's probably right there in that system right there. And then we go on up, and look how it split that. We were talking about how these bunker fuel ships, they set up in the high pressure areas we're on now, and they split these high pressures into small low pressure systems. Now check this out. If we put this on the jet stream, now let's back that up a couple days just so we can get what was going on. So we had the bunker fuel ships right here, and this is where they're splitting the jet stream somehow with the bunker fuel. I haven't quite figured that out. And then it all turns in to these different streams, and then as you go down to the vortice layer, you can actually see it even better. It's like they create like their own blocking pressure with that bunker fuel somehow. And we got a mass spraying operation right now north of Hawaii, like right where all this air currents are being sucked into. It looks like we have like hurricanes up there in the Aleutian Island chain at 4,000 foot up, and here we go at 1,000, and then down to the surface wind. So we got now right in that line of the bunker fuel. This is right where they were. They created like a cut through the winds. And now we have basically 3 spinning vortex. This is going to turn into a spinning vortex. And this one almost could start spinning the wrong way. You actually have this high pressure spinning the right way. I mean, it's spinning opposite, but it has to. And one thing I want to check why we're here. I want to go check to see the atmospheric heating event. So right here, this is where they're heating the ionosphere. That's where you caught the funky clouds, the innocuous clouds. We just fast forward that to see if the heating event's going to grow. It's like they're trying to pull the cold air over America, but it just won't stay. It keeps bouncing back over to Europe. That's why it's so hot right now. And then you factor that in with the weather patterns. Oh man, what happened here? Let me try to reload that. What happened? What happened to the tropical tidbits? Let me try to reload this. It just disappeared on us. Man, I was going to show you something. Here, let me close it and we'll restart it. All right, let's go to the forecast model. Oh man, what the heck? It's down. So the tropical tidbits just went down on me. And the dogs are going to go off. That'll help. Yeah, there is no political solutions whatsoever. They're all in on it. Like, there's no right and left. That's all just division. Well, that really sucks because I can't show you this crazy stuff I was going to show you. Basically, what's going on is they're trying to pull back in the same patterns that flooded out the Midwest. Now, all summer long, they were pulling the atmospheric river up from the Gulf of Mexico. Then they were trying to pull it up and around and then right up through the Bajas. And they were creating all the moisture. Right where you're seeing the moisture today is exactly how they flooded out the whole Midwest. This is the exact pattern that was happening in the summertime. And that's why we're getting like 73, 72 degree weather tomorrow on Christmas in Missouri. And they're pushing this up so hard it's making the storms go backwards. They're going south, southeast when they should have been right up, going up the north, up into the northeast like every other storm before it has went. So the bunker fuel operations that they deployed has something to do with changing this weather pattern, the whole weather pattern. They must be having a hard time trying to push that polar vortex air. And now it's all going over to Europe. And we'll just have to go back and check the tropical tidbits here in a minute. Let's go ahead and jump back on the worldview. Get it back on to today. And when you look at, here's Hawaii right here. If we just go north of Hawaii, there's no more bunker fuel ships. They were out here for 1 day deploying. But you have tons of aerosols being deployed north, up in the north. And they're just sprayers all over up here, just bombarding this whole system. And they split these 2 weird looking L-shaped clouds right here in the earthquake zone, right where all the earthquakes are going off. I mean, this is right where the earthquakes have been going off. And then you have the aerosols being deployed. Same areas. What are they doing over here? Now, all the storms are going to be running straight down the coast, which is really odd. You got aerosols being deployed all over the coast of Washington, through Portland, just all down the coast. They're spraying the way they want the storm to go. Normally we get crisscrossing patterns and X's. Look, the aerosols are all flying straight from north to south, every single one of them. We've never seen that on this map ever. They're always grid patterns, X's. These guys are all flying one way. And that's exactly where they're bringing in the moisture. It's like clockwork. We could forecast the weather just by the aircrafts deploying these chemicals into the sky. Big spraying operation. You can see right here, all these clouds are man-made clouds from the aircraft. And you can see how fast, let me try to get this, where you can kind of get the whole picture in here as I click through the day. So here's, let me get this on. I'm trying to get this where it goes as the time. So you can see, you know, these are all airplanes making these clouds. And then as they go a couple hours later, they just start growing and spreading. And the next thing you know, you just got a complete whiteout all over the place. If the planes weren't up there creating these clouds, there wouldn't be any clouds out here. Same thing is going on in the same areas yesterday. I mean, they're spraying the same places the last 2 days. And to me, it's so they can get these weather patterns back the way they want to go. They want to create some kind of crazy snowstorm, like, you know, climate chaos snowstorm for parts of the United States, so they can keep on pushing this climate change agenda. Now, if they get this atmospheric river where they want it to flow, I mean, we could see hundreds of inches of snow in one snowstorm. If they get all these things lined up the way it looks like they're trying to do, we're talking mega snows this winter. But, you know, there's multi things they have to do. They have to get the Arctic cold air to get pushed back over the United States, and then keep all three of these atmospheric rivers pulling up into the summertime pattern in the winter. You know, yesterday, in fact, let me see what yesterday looked like over here in Portugal and Spain. Take it a second to load up. So really, you know, we had a little spraying out here in the Atlantic over by the, I can't remember what the name of them islands are right offhand right now. Very light, little bit of segmented spraying going on, like nothing, you know, yet actually it looks like you got some bunker fuel right there. So this was yesterday. If you go back one more day, this is where they started the bunker fuel, or the aerosols. They're using the super heavy sprays. So you can see how this works, man. You're seeding all up in the top of that storm. You're seeding down here because you got to bring up the tropical moisture. Then you're bringing in the cooler air, the leftover storms from the United States. Then you go up a day. The spraying operations pick up over Spain. And then you get in today because it's kind of slowed down. Now look, I mean, this is just a massive spraying operation. This spraying operation starts out all the way over here in the desert. This is the same part of the desert that we've caught the blast waves of dust. Also the fake 9.0 earthquakes over here. So there's some kind of weather tampering device over here. This is where they're starting the aerosols. And it's just going right on up. The closer you get, you got the frequency clouds are in there. Just mass spraying. Right here off the coast of Portugal, more microwave clouds. So just heavy bombardment over Portugal, and it goes right on over into Spain. and pops out here in the Balearic Sea. Here's that spot I always talk about right here by Barcelona, man. There's a weather tampering device right there. Just had a 6.2 go off in Canada. So we had another earthquake just went off in Canada in the same areas that they've been going off. Yeah, we hit 70,000, I think, last night. So thanks to all you guys. It's not me, it's you guys sharing it out, because, you know, YouTube, they don't want channels like this to get big. That's a fact. Too much truth zone. So here's another way to look at how these aircraft. So look, right here over Spain and Portugal, look how light the skies are. So these chemtrailers just started spraying. They're starting to expand out. Here's a couple hours later. Look how it grows. And then a little bit later, look how it brightens up. This is called cloud brightening, cloud whitening. And it's being done with commercial airliners. It's being done with drones. It's being done with actual spray nozzles on the planes. Now I show all the time what's the ingredients in these so-called contrails. Well, here they are. This is, you can go right to the man, I have to try to remember where I got these from, but these are from an official site that tested the fuels, you know, all the way back from the Jet A to the JP5 to what they burn now, the biodiesel JP8. And you can see back when they were running Jet A, there was no aluminum in the aircraft exhaust. Now there's 9,360 parts per billion. And you look at all these ingredients: barium, calcium, chromium, copper, iron, lead, magnesium, manganese, nickel, niobium, potassium, scandium, selenium, strontium, sulfur, tin, titanium, vanadium, zirconium. A lot of these are fire accelerants. It's the same thing they make military chaff out of, the same thing they make sparklers out of, and they're super high amounts. And that's what's coming out of the exhaust of these planes. It's not water vapor. It's heavy metal particulates that are affecting our weather and toxifying the skies. France is getting a little break. UK is getting a little break. But you got this massive man-made storm headed your way. So tomorrow night, you're going to see aerosols being deployed all over France, all over the UK. It's just going to go straight on across. Let's see what we got going. So we got, you know, more aerosols that have already drifted out over Italy. You can always tell the man-made clouds are kind of fuzzy. They're dirty. They're not white clouds, man. These are all man-made clouds. Most of the cloud cover you see, if it's not white and puffy, it's man-made. I mean, you can follow the aerosols, watch them expand. And they still had this mega spraying operation out here over Kazakhstan. Same thing yesterday. I mean, they're dumping some super thick aerosols out here. I mean, this stuff is turning into some big old white, super long lines. I mean, you got a little bit of segmented spraying up here, but whatever kind of spray they're dumping out, it's some thick stuff to leave that kind of line. And they've been doing it for days. So they're setting up something up here in Kazakhstan. Still operations starting to go into Mongolia. You know, yesterday we had a few aerosols over here in Japan. They're down in the southern part of Japan now. Look here in South Korea. You not only have the pollution. Look what happens. So here's before the aircraft started flying. Looks really clear. You got a liner right there coming in. You got a few other aircraft out here. And just in a matter of hours, check this out, in a matter of hours, this is what it turns into. From this, you know, just a few little aerosols, to this a few hours later. You can see the super thick little X right here. It's not real clear, but yeah, that's what the aircraft are doing. They want to call it accidental geoengineering. They want to call it cloud whitening, cloud brightening, albedo modification. They can call it whatever they want, but what it is, it's chemtrails. In fact, we got a few chemtrails here off the coast of Guam. You know, this hurricane, typhoon that's hitting the Philippines, this was man-made, courtesy of the Atoll Islands in Guam. The military is on the Atoll Islands in Guam. They fabricate these storms all the time. And let's take a look at the rain coming in Australia. They couldn't have no rain without the aerosols being deployed. Aerosols and microwaves. You know, they got different mixes. When they want to dry the sky out, they use a rain retardant. When they want to create rain, they use the rain enhancement. And I mean, we're not even talking about the electromagnetic stuff tonight. We're not talking about the cloud ionizers that are on the ground. We're not talking about the ionospheric heaters, the ground-based evaporation stations. So what this is going to lead to is putting out some of the fires, but what they're going to say, they're going to say the lightning caused more storms. They just did that a few days ago, man. The rain come in and the fires got worse, and they blamed it on the lightning. It's all the aluminum and the magnesium in the rainwater. The same thing that people have been fighting about for years that you never hear about. Like, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, there was people that were fighting this air pollution just all the time, man. Now you hardly ever hear it. You got some activists out here, but you're not seeing, you know, like the town hall meeting in Arizona. You don't see people doing that in mass like there should be. I think I got that clip here.
Hello, my name's Al DeChico. I live in Golden Valley, and I understand that this is a federal issue. I understand that from speaking to the governor's office, that they cannot or will not even make a statement about this. My question is, have you tested the rainwater? And if you haven't, have you seen the results of our rainwater tests? And also, are you aware that many of the people sitting in this room right here have very high levels of barium, aluminum, and strontium in their blood? People are getting sick and dying. And we want the ADEQ not just to give us a little speech today, but actually to maybe perhaps speak out against it if you know it's going on. And if not, I would suggest you do a lot more investigation. We've been doing it for years. So I'd like a comment on, one, the rainwater, what's in it, and two, what's in our blood. And if it's not coming from geoengineering, is it your responsibility to investigate that and tell us where it is coming from? Thank you. Does the ADEQ have the ability to take a position on this and investigate it further and find out where these toxic metals are coming from that are in our rainwater and in our blood? Thank you.
Thank you. I am assuming you do have scientists in your organization. Is that correct?
We do, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Arnett, and I'm from Bullhead City. And I'm one of the several who have had my blood tested because I was getting sick and I didn't know why. And I did go to my doctor, and he had some question on how to order these specific tests for heavy metals. And when the results came back and they were really out of line, he said he had never seen anything like it in his life, and he didn't have a clue what to do about it. And then the bottom line was, he said, I think you're just going to have to live with it, and I want to be healthy. So just out of curiosity, how many of you in here have had your blood tested? Raise your hands. Okay, thank you.
So we've already had tons of people having their blood tested, their hair tested. This aluminum is not natural. It's all fabricated along with the nanoparticles of the plastics and everything else that's going on in our air. And you can go all the way back to Kennedy and listen to what he says. And I'll play a little montage of just some of the countries that are talking about the aerosols. That way you can fast forward to this part of the video and show people that some mainstream does talk about this. So let me play that.
Mr. President, honored delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control. We shall propose, finally, a global systems of communication satellites linking the whole world in telegraph and telephone and radio and television. The day need not be far away when such a system will televise the proceedings of this body to every corner of the world for the benefit of peace.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly.
To start the new month, claims tonight international vapour trails laid by international organisations could be filling central west skies with dangerous chemicals. Opponents of these mysterious chemtrails, which have been appearing over Dubbo and other central west centres, argue science is being perverted to change local weather patterns and keep Australia in drought.
These weirdly shaped vapour trails above Dubbo make curious patterns, but concerns tonight it could signal a systematic poisoning of the skies above Western New South Wales. Jet planes often leave contrails, but these vapour trails aren't on any recognised flight paths, and they run closely parallel and cross over in gigantic X-shapes.
For water. In the early 2000s, the UAE started performing regular cloud seeding operations. Cloud seeding is the process of increasing the amount of rain produced from clouds.
So, as we've been reporting for the past week or so, fine dust concentrations really did rise to alarming levels in South Korea over the past several days. One of the methods identified as a potential way to mitigate the worst effects is a technology called cloud seeding. Tests are already being carried out in the skies above South Korea.
Residents in southern Tasmania are demanding to know why cloud seeding was conducted over the Derwent River catchment the day before the worst floods in 40 years. Cloud seeding is a technique used to increase rain.
The death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States, in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped. I happen to know of two of the locations where the airplanes are that dump this crap on us. 4 of the planes are out of Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Still, Oklahoma.
All right, guys, so I'm trying to get back to the other scene. I'm going to get this earthquake app up so we can take a look at the earthquakes. And I got one more that's even a newer clip. A lot of you guys have heard this, but for anybody new, but you can fast forward this video to this part to show people that they talked about this stuff in the Senate. So let me play this clip, and then we're going to jump into some earthquakes.
You just get on to Mr. Fletcher. Another question on the in an interview with the Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Would you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said. There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilized it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator Pell.
I just want to repeat before I turn to
So yes, but we do have all that information.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans.
Worldwide.
Millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the Senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
All right, guys, so let me try to get this app in here. You heard it right there, man. This stuff is going on. No denying it. And thanks out there, Cynthia and Ronald out there, and everybody else out there in the super chat. Much love. Merry Christmas, everybody. So let me see if I can bring in the earthquake 3D. And I there we go. It should be right there. There it is. Actually popped right up this time. Let me make it a little bigger. Try to here. Maybe I gotta make it bigger on this screen. It's looking a little funky there, so there we go. Now I got it at least in the right format if I can make it bigger. All right, so here we go. We have another one. This one actually is up north from all the other ones, I think. Let me add in more than one day here. Let's get the other big ones on there, and let's turn the magnitudes to just the bigger earthquakes. Now, we were talking about, for the last week, we had monster deep quakes over here, like super deep, like 500 and something kilometers deep. Well, all that seismic pressure is working its way around. And look, we have the 6.0 down here in South America. So where is it not hitting yet? Right here off the west coast of Wanda Fuca, the Cascadia. This pressure is going to come down, man. We're missing a big earthquake in the 6.0 range right here somewhere. So let me turn this down. So yeah, we got quite a few quakes. So 6.3. So that's a pretty bigger quake. Let's put on the see if it'll give us the depth. So it's shallow. These are all shallow quakes. I wonder if I can get that real deep one on here. So here's what started all the seismic pressure on the move. Thanks out there, Darla. So right here, I mean, this is a big quake, and it's deep. Pretty good sized quake. I can't tell what the magnitude was on that one. I think it was a 4 point or a 5.5, but it was so deep. And then you got another deep one, and that's a good sized deep one down here in South America. So now it looks like all the seismic pressure is working its way around, and then we're going to see an uptick in bigger quakes across California, around the super volcanoes, and then right across into the fracking zones, right up into the East Coast. Let me pull this up on the I'm gonna pull this up on the USGS here, and let me see, let me put in the last 7 days just to populate this a little better. And look, this is weird, man. This is a lot of quakes in one area, a lot of big quakes. So right now it's still showing all the default depth. They're not giving us the depth. At least here on the USGS site, they're saying they were all at 10 kilometers deep. May have to go look at here, see if there's, you know, most likely some volcanoes. It looks like they're in between the two fault lines. Something's going on over here. And, you know, you got to start wondering about this Wanda Fuca down here and see if that's going to go off. So, like, where's the rest of the quakes out here? I am on the last 7 days. There should be way more quakes here. What's going on? Why is it not showing? I must have it on a 4.0 or bigger. Let me check the settings here. Yeah, 4.5. Let's do the just 1 day quakes. So here's all the 1 day quakes. So there's a big dead zone right here, and it's been, you know, this is where they're saying it's locked and loaded and ready to go. You know, what's it going to take to bust this thing free? Is it going to take a 6.0? Is it going to take a 8, you know, coming across? Who knows, man? Let me try to get a 1 day all, 7 day. We'll try this. So yeah, man, this pressure's got to be moving down. It's going to be more than these 2s. We should start seeing some 5.3s out here in the little cliff section. You know, the biggest one we got so far is only a 4.1, man. These are definitely going to move up into the 5 range, and who knows? Yeah, I got the newest first. Put it on 7 days, all magnitudes. Just see what we get here. See, this will show us all the dead zones. So right there at the Wanda Fuca, man, we got the Cascadia subduction zone, and look at this, just huge dead zone. Right here, there should be quakes popping off everywhere out here, releasing that pressure. And the more bigger quakes we get up here, if this thing don't pop off, it, you know, it could take, anything could pop the rest of this thing off to what they've been warning about, the thrust volcanoes. Or volcano, the thrust quake. You know, then you got the swarms that have been going off down in the ridge view area. Look at that swarm down here. The ground dropped like 40 centimeters. This huge area of ground dropped. I mean, that's a wow. Here's where the tons. And we just had another 5.1 off of Fiji. Look at that Freemason symbol here at the military installation. Like, there is something definitely brewing underneath this area. Like, this is probably magma on the move. You got a super volcano just right up the road here. So mega swarms going on. Here's the super volcano. Here's one of them, which you have an earthquake up here that happened just right to the east of it. So that was a 1.2. That's a really little one. Bridgeport, 40 kilometers southeast of Bridgeport. So it's usually the silent zones where we got to watch. And we got just a monster silent zone. Washington, Oregon, all the way up to BC, where the big ones are hitting. Yeah, best person to listen to on the earthquakes, just go to Dutch, man. He knows, he follows this stuff. He knows about the seismic pressure moving around. I mean, look at Alaska up there, man. They've been getting bombarded. We've seen the flumes coming out of the volcanoes up here in the Aleutian Island chain. I showed that last night. Tons of fracking quakes. But yeah, the pressure is going to keep on moving down. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep on going. It'll end up going all the way across the United States, then up, and then, you know, out to the end zones. So we got definite pickup of the earthquake activity. Let me go ahead and check this real quick. Yeah, there's always methane gas leaking out of the whole West Coast, all the way through British Columbia. We can check that right now. Let me turn this enhancement off. Make sure we're on now. I mean, the biggest methane explosion happened here on the West Coast. In fact, I'll show you what it looked like when it really went off back in 2015, 2016. Just give me a second here. I got to go to my YouTube page and go to my channel here, and I got to find this video. So I'm going to look at these, click the videos, and I'll go. I got to sort them out here because that was pretty old video. So it's like my third most watched video. So let me click this. Let me bring this over so you guys can see this. Now this video right here, let me back it up. This is the biggest methane explosion that happened on the West Coast. Let me turn that off. Now this is back on 2/25/2016, and watch how this scrolls through. Look at that explosion right there. This actually happened. Now when I made this video, man, it went pretty viral, and it even got a response from NASA. NASA tried to say this didn't happen, so I did some more digging, and I found a European satellite that was a completely different satellite, showed the exact same thing. This whole flume of carbon monoxide drifted all across the United States. People were getting sick from it. And NASA ended up taking down the response video. You know, you had the Snopes and all them trying to discredit this thing, and they all used the wrong dates. And what they did, they went back and even got a response from this Earth School site. They went back and changed the data. But see, it didn't matter because the European satellite showed the very exact same. It showed high amounts of nitrogen. I mean, there was just all kinds of stuff that completely blew up here out of the West Coast and all the way up into BC. You know, they tried to hide this, but we found more satellites that weren't NASA satellites that showed the very same thing. You know, this showed it on multiple different satellites and how it just drifted across. And, you know, you can find all my old videos on this where I showed the European models, showed that NASA was lying, made NASA take down their videos to discredit what happened. So this stuff has been leaking out from underneath the coast for a long time, and we got proof of it. We've been documenting it for years. It's so weird that the Tropical Tidbits site is down. So I can't, wait, what did that say? All right, let me look at this real quick. No, man, I think it was just, I think the plates just kind of shifted there, not like an earthquake, but like the gases. They do so much fracking out here, and it was around the same time that that plant had the major gas leak too. It was right after that's when that big methane leak happened from that company. I can't even remember it right now offhand, but it was right after that. Then that happened, and then that leaked for weeks and months. So, you know, we've been watching that. I don't know if that's a precursor, but it could be a precursor for years later, like now. You know, over here in California, you also have tar that's leaking up from underneath the ground. You got all kinds of weird stuff spewing out of the ground. You got magma possibly on the move. I mean, the earth is going to constantly go through these changes. We're going to see these events. We're going to have catastrophes here and there, but that's just, you know, part of it. You can't stop what the earth changes are. You just got to prepare best you can and try to get through them. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call this a show tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on a Christmas Eve night, the night before Christmas. Hope everybody has a good Christmas out there. I'm going to play a song called Rise. People need to rise up. You know, yeah, you got the pole shifts, but like a magnetic pole shift is different than an actual pole shift. Now, if it's an actual, like, the whole earth shifting, the whole crust, that would be catastrophic. The polar or the magnetic pole shifting is a pretty common occurrence. You know, I know it probably affects weather. That's probably part to do with the solar cycles and all that stuff. But that thing's been wandering around for years. I'm not worried about a magnetic pole shift. It's the other kind of pole shift where the poles flip. You know, how the continents have been tore apart and stretched out and all that crazy stuff. Anyway, guys, much love. Let's play a song called Rise. I'll come join you in chat. I'll go check on D-Live, give away a treasure chest, and jump on some of these other platforms. Here we go. Let me see if I can get this thing to even work. Merry Christmas, everybody.